everybody, to the ESL Hearthstone Week 8 Legendary Series. That was the sound of the last quarterfinals arriving. That was the best drum roll I could do with a cardboard piece of paper. Amaz versus Gaara is coming up on stream. This is a rematch from DreamHack Bucharest, as well as a few other times, but that was the most iconic matchup between these two players because Amaz and Gaara met in the semifinals, and then Gaara advanced to win the whole entire tournament. Then they went and met in Millennium Cup, and they played a few other times throughout the year. But now this is an opportunity for Gaara to finally get back on track. I know personally he feels like he's been in a big slump. A lot of people agree that Gaara hasn't been able to make as consistent finishes as he did at the middle towards the end of the year. And Amaz, on the other hand, he comes in as a player who, he won last week his first match, and then his second match he fell flat on his face. And I think a lot has to do with the very, very weird decks he was playing. He had Baron Geddon and Druid. He had Moker the Ogre and Handlock. And
it was crazy.
Good for him. It's really cool some of the decks he brought, but it's just what's going on? What decks are you making, Amaz? Who gives you these wacky ideas? I love them, but at the same time, it's are they really that good? I don't know.
The thing I noticed about Amaz's decks, though, is just how much they cost as far as dust goes. Every single one of his decks that he brought last week, I think, cost more than 12,000 dust. The value.
Hold on, I can't count that high. 1 sec.
Yeah, to put that into perspective, a zoo deck is 1,700 or something like that. So it's a lot, and they were packed full of legendaries. So maybe he was just going with the surprise factor. But more importantly than any result or anything you could say about these guys, Team Tempo Storm versus Team Archon.
Yes.
It is. It's a pretty new rivalry because Team Archon is new.
Yep.
But two player-made teams. Two of the players that made the teams have
two
some
of the most
popular. Yeah, have the highest fan bases out of any of them.
Yep.
And sort of good versus evil. Of course, Raynet being the good and Amaz being the evil.
Look at you being coy with that. We'll take it. We'll take it. Temple Storm more of the bad boys, sure.
Yeah.
And then you have the Archon, the good-hearted people. But we'll see. We'll see how the rosters end up developing. Cause I know Archon just recently picked up some guys and girl. They had Nadia joining their ranks recently, and they're making some waves. So let's see if they can keep up that momentum. Firebat unfortunately dropped out, which means Amaz is the last member that from Archon that can qualify. Meanwhile, there is one Temple Storm member through with Magic Amy. Very good pool that we have. Magic Amy, Show, and Zalay, followed by Chalky, Waifu, Silent Storm, as well as Max. One of those, three of those four people will be qualified.
Yeah, and in 1 week of the Legendary Series, we also had an all-Tempo Storm Finals. There actually is a potential for that to happen again today. It was hyped versus Magic Amy last time. It has the potential to be
Maybe
Kit
Kats
Kats
versus
Gaara this time around. So I'm sure, of course, Dan would
4
be
out of
happy
5
to see
players were in the finals for Tempo Storm.
that. Yeah, we have actually seen
For
other
Raynet, was it?
Yeah, we've seen a couple Archon players as well. We saw Backspace.
Yeah, Backspace made it to the semis.
Yep.
Hosty, I believe, lost in the first round, unfortunately.
So right now, it seems like Tempo Storm's getting the best of them. Amaz is going to look to change that.
Well, leadership, a good mark of leadership is to surround yourself with people who are better than you. And Raynet is a really good leader. That's why I think Gaara's got this.
It's a good thing Raynet's probably sleeping right now.
Yeah, he's probably what probably he's doing is he's just waking up. He finished blow drying his hair that he started 3 hours ago. He's eating some cereal.
He's gonna stream for 10 minutes.
His kitchen only has 2 things. It has bread and cereal. He's probably eating some cereal, chewing, and then shaking his head as he listens to this cast because he's probably watching and cheering Gaara on for sure.
The 2 main food groups, bread and cereal.
That's good.
Unstable Portal.
Yeah, Unstable Portal is one of those really, it's just such an Amaz card. A lot of people would take it out because they don't feel like it fits into the consistent rhythm of a mech mage. But Amaz would definitely play Unstable Portal. If there's one player that you're well, that doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he Unstable Portaled.
What?
No
Do
way.
it! Do it! What's the worst that can happen against the handlock? He's just gonna life tap next turn.
Yeah. He can't deal with it. Oh, Dark Bomb Mortal Coil.
Oh, Hellfire Mortal Coil.
He'd be able to Dark Bomb Mortal Coil next turn anyway.
Super awkward.
Wow.
And actually kind of hilarious because that Gaara can deal with it for free and life tap. He can Hellfire Mortal Coil life tap. Whatever. You know what? Interestingly enough, though, Hellfire is one of the better cards to have against this deck.
That's true. Yeah, he just used like one of his main AoE removals.
Exactly. And now Gaara knows that it's not a passive freeze mage deck. So he has to actually play a little bit more aggressive. I really like the evaluation that he has to go for the Nation Watcher now that he has the Ironbeak Owl. It's a very good observation. And of course, Amaz, he just has spells in his hand, so this is the best that he can do.
That was a really interesting interaction to start off.
Yeah, that's not the start of the game that I was anticipating.
No. Oh, I anticipated it.
No, you do.
You're right. I didn't. I'm a fraud.
That's an awesome term, by the way. Again, how FGC always says, like, calls people fraud and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the best thing that Maz can do is just keep up the board momentum. Take out the Ironbeak Owl for free. Gaara hasn't tapped actually that much, so he's going to be, after the Sludge Belcher, he's going to be looking for some plays.
You're pretty edgy to call it the FGC.
Why?
Just an edgy thing to do. You're so edgy, Dan.
Why is that edgy?
I don't know.
Is it too edgy for you?
Might be.
Alright.
It's another good name for a team.
Hmm.
To join the Clutch Jugglers. Too edgy for you.
3 edgy, 5 me. Well, this is still really awkward for Amaz. You have to spend 2 cards effectively to get rid of this. I think the Spider Tank developed something a little bit better. He already used a Mortal Coil.
Does Mech Mage play Arcane Intellect that often? I feel like it's a card that a lot of Mech Mages don't put in.
It's a good point. Maybe it's not a common thing at all.
Because it's usually on... I mean, it's good for refilling your hand later. But it seems like on turn 3, that's a crucial turn for Mech Mage. That's a turn that they usually make big things happen. I mean, Unstable Portals, at least in a tournament setting, is not necessarily a card that you'd see in Mech Mage either, but who knows? We haven't seen the rest of this deck yet, so can't really make too many judgments on it.
Alright, well, Arcane Intellect's actually pretty strong in this position,
Yeah.
I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not necessarily strong. I think maybe if it was another card to play, like the Goblin Blast Mage, because if he draws a Goblin Blast Mage or a Mechanical Yeti, he can't play it now.
It doesn't seem like in Mech Mage it would ever like improve your position in a game.
Late game, when you're running out of cards, it does, generally speaking.
Yeah, but that's true. I feel like there would be better ways to like replenish your hand.
But Amaz is forced to play this really slow.
Yeah.
And I can't help but get worried for him because I feel like the longer this game goes, Handlock's going to be in a really good spot because how they outpace the Mech Mage, like card-wise.
Now, sometimes this deck can do really well against Handlock because they can usually have enough of a burst early on to be able to put them in range for their reach.
It's a pretty good draw, almost as good as it gets with the Ancient Watcher. Because now you can pair it with the Defender of Argus. Although maybe you don't feel like you have to. The pressure isn't that high at the moment. He only has 2 cards remaining.
Has Shadow Flame in his hand as well.
One thing you have to be in the back of your mind is what is your opponent is capable of playing the next turns. And he's capable of playing Dr. Boom. Great draw again. Gaara's running really well this game so far.
Alright.
So,
Well, he knows that those aren't 3 real cards. 2 of those are spare parts.
yeah, I have to imagine Amaz is looking for Antonitis or something similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
So the danger of playing the Pilot Shredder is if both of those die, he has no mechs to get Tinkertown value on.
Or Cogmaster even.
Right. I think the Tinkertown Technician Cogmaster play is slightly better.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
it's also vulnerable to Shadow Flame. So like, it's like a pick your poison here.
There is a small chance that Pod of Shredder could get a mech.
Sure.
Mech Warper, Micro Machine.
2 Time Rewinders. Is there any application to that at all?
In this deck? Not really, because it's kind of counterintuitive to
Maybe
Archmage
the
Antonitis.
Goblin Blast Mage.
Oh, that's true. But Archmage Antonitis, it's probably the one that you'd want the least, because if you played on an empty board, then you can't spam spare parts. You have to play Archmage Antonitis and then only get one piece of...
I mean, Gaara has a really strong board wipe now. He doesn't have to play the Dr. Boom, even though it feels like it's great to play it on curve, because there is 10 damage, and if his opponent had, like, you know, fireballs, 2 fireballs, he'd die. It is unlikely, though, because you know 3 of those cards, if you're paying attention, have been spare parts, so
Yeah.
he would have to top deck the last answer.
I wonder.
Would you tap Shadow Flame here?
Yes.
Just feel like it's just too strong.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage on board.
I like that you're getting at a. I like that you're still collecting and keeping your card count high enough so that way it's applicable to have like Molten Giant be supported instead of just Molten Giant. Pretty devastating though for Amaz.
Yeah.
I mean, Snow Chugger is okay. He needs to start finding his read. He used both Frostbolts, unfortunately, which means Fireballs are his final remaining points of direct damage.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I like the Ancient Watcher Shadow Flame in that situation, because even if he just goes all phase next turn, what, 10 damage on board? Puts him at 10. Even if he activates Molten Giants and puts your opponent on a really short clock. Oh, there's Goblin Blast Mage.
Yeah.
But
He's got 2 Goblin Blast Mages, in fact.
he
The
does.
boom bots, right? Is that what you're afraid of?
The boom bots.
If it kills off the Snow Chugger?
Or if it kills off the Goblin Blast Mage.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh man. Here we go. 2 bombs.
Okay.
All right.
Wow, I'd say that's pretty best case. If you
Oh,
hit the
best
face
case
for
would have been
one.
hit the Goblin Blast Mage twice for 2 damage or 3 damage.
Oh yeah, that's true, since you're gonna replay it.
Right.
Yep.
Wow, so much direct damage to the face. Oh my goodness. This game has escalated so quickly. And Gaara can't really play around the Fireball top deck.
No, but I mean, he could put a double Molten Giant. Now, the big thing here is, do you clear the Piloted Shredder off the board,
Yeah.
or do you push for damage because you know you're going to be on a clock?
That's a good point.
Because
Well, if you leave up what's here, that's 11 points of damage on board, and you're gonna put 16 points of taunt on this turn, right?
yeah, but you need to preserve the damage that you're placing on the board, because even if he just kills off the board next turn, he's at a Fireball to win,
Right.
and you're at a Draxus just to stay alive. The
Okay,
following
if you do
turn.
damage this turn, you have 18, and then you put 2 giants and you Shadow Flame. I think it's pretty reasonable. Tap. I guess tapping is okay because in the end it's the same since it's just Fireball. He already used
Yeah.
both Frostbolts.
I mean, Ping's gonna. Well, I guess
Jeez,
if
what
he's
a
putting that
board.
many.
Maz needs Fireball right now. I think he also
Yes.
might have to kill his Goblin Blast Mage just so that he reduces the damage and push him through. No, Noyotron's not it. Is there something he can get off his Pilot Shredder? Another Anoyotron?
Oh
Because Anoyotron does end up staying alive.
a Noyotron, yeah, keeps him alive.
Like a second Anoyotron.
No,
right?
a Noyotron right now keeps him alive.
Well, no, because there's Shadow Flame,
What to do?
right?
What to do?
Like you attack with the Sun Fury into it,
Okay,
and then
so
you
he
Shadow
could
Flame.
clear one of the giants here with Ping, Whirling Blades, and what's on the board. Then there would be 16, 20.
Defender Vargas?
Oh, Defender Vargas.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he's gonna need something. He's gonna need some help off his pilot shredder.
Hmm. No, I don't think there's any. Yeah, no.
Hold on. What if pilot shredder gives you something that you can time rewinder for 2 mana?
What could you time rewinder for 2 mana? That would save you.
Not
Micro Machine.
was not it. So he can freeze another minion with Snow Chugger too. I forgot about that. That keeps him alive. The Snow Chugger freezing a minion.
Wouldn't it be the same as just killing a minion?
Well, I'm saying you attack into the 8/8 with
Okay,
the
yeah,
Snow
yeah.
Chugger so you
Yeah,
don't die.
Because he wouldn't
Because
be
if
able
he
to kill it
holds,
without
he's
pinging.
actually dead. If he doesn't freeze a giant here.
Defreeze the one with
Yes.
low health? Or the one with... Okay.
Oh!
Oh!
What a draw from Gaara. That's actually right there at the game. Amaz can't come back from that. That's just way too much.
He can even tap.
Yeah, but most likely I think he will Antique Healbot and then maybe even Shadow Flame.
Shadow Flame, yeah. I wouldn't mind that.
So many possibilities.
Just has to go over every permutation. As much as it's like a card that you've been looking for, you have to make sure to find the optimal play. This is one of Gaara's strengths as a player because he's really meticulous about everything.
You can check out more from Gaara at tempostorm.com.
That was TJ saying. That wasn't Frodan.
No, that was Frodan.
But
Don't-
thank
don't-
you, TJ. Your check's in the mail.
Don't let it...
Okay, so now Amaz needs Deathwing. I wasn't gonna miss that one.
For those of you that didn't tune in yesterday, every single week, Frodan, when someone plays Hunter and they're about to lose, he said, oh, they can top deck Deathwing. Well, yesterday there was a player named UNC Tennis who actually played Deathwing and Hunter,
Yeah,
and it nearly won him a game.
yeah. It's a real thing. Anyways, Deathwing and Mech Mage is not actually a thing. That's just game 1. There's still plenty of time for Amaz to maybe come back or Gaara to perhaps mess up here, but
For sure.
seems like a pretty solid start. Handlock versus Mech Mage. Now I think we go into our second match.